I better behave.
Tonight on episode 29, I think, of Jabber Jawn, if you allow us just 10 minutes of your time, we'd like to discuss your car warranty with you. This is a no-pressure sales pitch that could save you a fortune in the future. All y'all riding around in your unwarranted automobiles, going to the supermarket and Dollar General and Popeyes, all my new favorite words after hearing Gabe say them. And if something was to happen to your car, you got no warranty on it, so what you going to do? Of course you could send a message to Jabber Jawn, as we have a combined knowledge of over 150 years dealing with cars. I know how to put gas in and how to change the headlight bulbs. Nathan or Mr. Moore may possibly be able to help with other unwarranted car questions, but it really would be best if you just get that ride super warranted. Also a bird and a haircut tonight. Who says a small town doesn't have the world's riches to offer to the people? Pull up a chair, order some mozzarella sticks and listen with your mouth open so we know you're paying attention. Hope to see you there. Free parking for all fully warranted vehicles. The rest of you can park over at the Dollar General. Gabe says it's so cool as Dollar General. Like it was a warlord's name. We had to fight the mightiest foe in all the land. Dollar General. Enjoy and let us know what the best thing you've ever bought at Dollar General was.
He says Dollar General. And Popeyes. Let's stop at Popeyes.
I really want to write a Dollar General song. Like all you need is like a military snare, like not the Dollar General. I said and I follow the Dollar General.
It's like you're playing with Sousa now.
Get Arno back over here. Little marching band Dollar General song. I'm gonna write that someday. And we're live. Woo! Yes, thank you. Packed house tonight. Good to see everybody. Woo-hoo! I'm your host, Nathan Moore. This is Kyle Hogg. This is Steve Moore, and we are Jabber Jawn, and we're live.
There's so much. Well, you know, that was on the front page of yesterday's Stanton newsletter.
What was?
Dollar General.
Oh, it was.
There's a new one
I
coming
thought Jabber
to
Jawn
There's
was.
a new one coming to town.
Wow.
And that's front page news.
That is front
in the
page
Stanton
news.
paper.
That is big news.
Isn't that sad?
Where are they plopping another one of those down?
Oh, I didn't get where it was, but they have a party section.
Oh,
Wow.
I don't know that I've ever been to a Dollar General that had a party section.
man, maybe we could spice up next week's Jabber Jawn with
We'll
some.
find out where it is, and
All
I
right.
think maybe we could do something live there.
Oh yeah, live from the Dollar
Live from
General.
Dollar General.
With a marching band.
Well, I'm going to make a pledge to go to the Dollar General before next week's show and hit the party supply aisle and
All right.
spice up next week's
That's
show.
right.
It's going to be all lit.
And also talking about John Philip Sousa, I went to see the big band in the park Monday. Or was it Tuesday? Whatever day it was. Tuesday, I think. And they were playing John Philip Sousa. It was very nice.
Oh, the
The Monday night
Yeah.
was the Stonewall Brigade band.
Yeah, that's what it was Monday, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring up the fact that I was a little worried last week and I never got to it, but I'm a little upset that we are competing with Jazz in the Park.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
not
I
quite
don't
right.
like that. I mean, I don't blame people for choosing them over us.
Maybe we could come live from have Jazz in the Park going on behind
Right,
us,
man.
and
Yeah,
just
it'd be
set
nice
up at the
when-
other end of the. These would pick us up fine. Be a good little backdrop for us.
We'd end
No,
up.
we can just be like the TV shows, Johnny Carson or something. Every time we get a lull, they can break into a song. We'll just sit there and bring the guests on or something.
I don't think those people want really to be our background group.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It was packed last night. They had the bluegrass band over there.
So what's the schedule of it on?
Monday is the Stonewall Brigade.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday is Christian music.
Mm-hmm.
And Wednesday is bluegrass.
And tonig's
Thursday's
And
jazz.
Thursday's jazz in the park.
That's so
and
cool.
Friday is a movie night.
Oh, wow.
At the park, you
Yeah.
can go over there and watch
Yeah.
a movie for free. What
We
a
should
great
be
little-
doing these things. We got lawn chairs. We're finally about the age you do a thing like that. You take
Well,
your lawn chairs
and-
over
Well,
and watch
it was really good.
bandstand.
There was probably like 200 people over there watching the bluegrass band.
Wow.
With
And
all
I
the chairs.
And I want to open it up here to Jabberjawn fans, all of you, that it's open to come over to my house and sit on the porch and walk down.
It's
Yeah.
just
It's
a hop,
perfect-
skip, and a
It's
jump.
a perfect little
Pick
walk
up Kyle
and
on the way.
Yeah.
Pick up Kyle on the way, or listen to him on the porch snoring.
Yeah.
That's what I usually
Sneak
hear.
up on him,
Yeah.
sleeping on his porch.
Yeah.
And Brian Demery Brian Demery designed the Bluegrass in the Park T-shirt.
Oh, cool. What's it
Really?
look like?
It's a, God, he's gonna be mad at me now. I can't remember. I just bought 2 of them. It's a bird and a squirrel, I think, playing like a banjo and a stand-up bass.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
That bird better keep an eye on that squirrel. That's all I'm saying.
Speaking of T-shirts,
Yeah.
we might have.
We're still doing a
That's right.
ongoing bid, a request to the world. We're looking for the best Jabberjawn T-shirt design. Anybody out there, whether you're a graphic designer or not, we'd love to see your idea, your submission. Send it to us any way you want on Discord, Facebook, however you want to get it to us. The lines are open, and we're still accepting submissions for the Jabberjawn T-shirt design. The design we pick, not only will you get a free shirt, but we're also going to give Kyle $25 to go into a thrift store, the Antique Mall out in Verona, and find you something special.
I've had 3 people tell me that was the best idea. Like, they're gonna give me $25 to go to the thrift.
I'm going to design a T-shirt now just in the hopes that you have to go into the Stanton Mall. And in fact, I mean, you probably might want to have like a quick chat with them or something just to get a
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
for
what do
them
you want?
before you go into the mall to choose their gift.
So if you think you have a winner, send in like your gift suggestions so I can look for them out there.
That would be great.
Do you like old silverware, old rusty silverware, or a pair of old Harley Davidson leather pants? They had leather pants there last week. I wanted to buy them so bad.
We're just going to have to be sure to send you in there with
How
only
much were they?
$25.
I couldn't, if I
Are you
looked at
interested?
Well, yeah. Who would not be interested? How could you not be interested in leather pants?
I remember when I was a senior in high school for prom or some dance, I went to Chess King. Remember that old store,
Chess King.
And I bought a pair of leather pants. And I wore a tux top and leather pants. Looked like a complete
You were
dork.
crushing. Oh,
God.
come on. You looked as cool as you thought you did.
But so then, like
The first time the word dork was ever used
Right.
in America, right there.
But so-
You got
Origin. According to the dictionary, word origins. That was the day dork was invented.
Latin from 1983. Dorcas.
U.S. nicknames, dork and leather. Kyle. but then later, when I was living in Richmond, I never wore them in Richmond, but I still had them. And my brother's girlfriend was a seamstress. I said, man, I should make some shorts out of them. I put them on. She said, take them off. We're not putting these in the shorts.
Sanity came into the picture.
I feel like there's only one guy on the whole planet ever that could pull off leather pants.
It wasn't me.
Who am I thinking of?
It wasn't me. It was somebody else.
Leather pants.
Who am I thinking of?
Adam Sandler, maybe.
No.
What did you say?
Adam Sandler. No.
Well, of course not. But
Jim Morrison.
Oh yeah, Jim Morrison at his high school prom. Yeah. My date looked so nice, and I was like a schoolboy in leather pants, trying to be tough, walking around.
You were though, right? You thought it was cool.
Oh, I thought it was really cool, yeah.
Right.
But then I had the the ruffled tux shirt, and the jacket, and all that crap on. And I got beat senseless in the parking lot.
Oh, you did?
I took them all on. Come on, you punks! Don't make me take off my tux jacket. Here I go. I pull the little hanky out of my mouth, out of my pocket.
Well, before we move on from shirts, are you going to share?
Yeah, that's where I was heading. I'm still going there.
The good news is I got some bad news and good news. Bad news is the last 3 shows have been a little out of focus.
Oh, that's all right.
Which actually softened our lines.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, the little out of focus didn't hurt us that much.
Is there any way we can just say to the people are out of focus?
Yeah, but I absolutely.
People that are watching us, and we're fine.
Yeah. The good news is I fixed it, so when I take the bird up and anything I hold close to the camera, it should autofocus, which should help you now share.
Do I have to get up?
You might have to get up.
This was a gift given to me by a Jabber Jawn fan, so I promised I would wear it, and here we go.
You can look on the screen up there to see if you're in frame.
Well, I'm not. What is that?
Nice tits, Dad.
Me and Nathan have the best view from the rear.
So what do you got? You got a long-tailed tit, a great tit, a marsh tit, a cold tit. Are these all actual tits?
No.
They made them
On
up.
any level.
What? There's no cold tit?
Well, there's no real tit there.
I thought they all were real. That's the only reason I was laughing.
Well, they don't expect you to be a tit fancier and a bird watcher. They don't care. They figure if you're going to laugh at the tit part, you just need to get that. You don't have to know them.
It's not for bird aficionados.
Just slap something on there. Nobody's going to get past the top line anyway.
No, exactly.
Bunch of dog pictures on there.
I was surprised that there is a bush tit. And
They didn't put it on there. There are real ones they could have used.
Yeah, I don't know. These might all be real. I haven't even looked.
Yeah, we could look them up.
What's the name?
Cold tit
What?
and a marsh tit. Coal. Like the...
Cold Tit was one of the best jazz musicians in the 1950s, wasn't he?
Here, let's ask Percy on Discord if it exists.
Is that a long-tailed tit? I don't think I think they're a joke. I think the whole thing's a joke. Serious bird watchers around the country are not happy with Jabber.
Bird watchers are like, oh, they've turned this
Some
into...
things you shouldn't make fun of.
Bird watchers are just turning it off. They're turning this into a joke now.
What's up with your shirt?
Randy Now's Man Cave was my favorite record store in New Jersey.
Oh, it was a record cake.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Yes, there is a bird called a cold tit. It is a small passerine. What's that word mean?
A songbird.
Really? A small passerine bird in the tit family, Paradidae. It is widespread and common in Europe and Asia.
Oh, wow.
So these are all real birds.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Absolutely. Of
They're
course
all-
they're real birds. What a stupid question. Come on.
No, I've never even thought about that. So Europe has birds we've never even seen over here?
Of course. Yeah.
God, I
There's a
never
lot
thought
of
about
birds that we have that, like, apparently the starlings, is that the right one, was introduced to America by a Shakespeare fan back in the 1700s that wanted all the birds that appeared in Shakespeare plays to be native to their new home in America.
Oh,
and
wow.
brought over like 700 starlings. And now the millions of starlings that inhabit the United States are all thanks to
the
that
same.
one Shakespeare fan's
Wow.
efforts.
Yeah. I've been trying to get Shakespeare banned for years.
Enough. These invasive birds.
Well, invasive birds and weird language.
Right.
People don't talk like that anymore.
Give rid of Shakespeare and more tits. That's always been your saying, hasn't it?
Less starlings.
But yeah. But that's the T-shirt story for the day.
And I'm wearing House
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Make it stop.
All right.
We're all sporting.
Everybody's representing
Yeah, we're all
today.
representing.
Yep. What am I representing? Chits?
Your friends, Wendy Gray.
That would be an interesting discussion sometime. Maybe not tonight.
What, tits?
Yeah.
Or what you represent.
Well, either one. But that's another story. But no, we'll go somewhere else.
What should we talk about? Anything
Well,
on your
I
mind?
have first of all, I think somebody at some point has to start getting a little irritated with both of you.
Wow.
And it has.
It already happened today when she told us we were live. Zip it up.
I'm going to say one person's name, and you should gather from that why I'm upset. Gregory Peck.
To Kill a
Oh, for not reading
Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, come on.
60,
Have you started it?
63 years
Have
old.
you started it?
nope.
I just finished.
Have you started
I
it?
just finished my
Have
book
you- yes or
yesterday.
no, please?
No. But I just finished my other book yesterday.
You what?
I just finished the book I was reading yesterday.
So that means tonight,
next
when
one.
you get home, you're going to start
I'm
the
going to
book.
crack open To Kill a Mockingbird.
God, that's what I wanted to hear.
That's right.
Now, how about you?
Well,
man?
I'm gonna throw in a twist. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but I ordered something that's supposed to show up tomorrow for my camping trip. Louise Penny's first book of the series. So that's actually the prize I have my eyes on at the moment. I'm taking that book camping and see what happens. But you think I should do To Kill a Mockingbird first?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, just in terms of commitments made a month ago.
Well, I never made a commitment.
Oh, yeah. You told me you were going to read the book.
Do you know when the movie came out? The
You were
book.
going to try to read the book.
Well, that was
I haven't seen you try.
that was all Kether's request, though. None of that really came from me, because she read it in her book club, and she was like, "Oh, you should do it." And she was like, "See if your dad has it when you're over there." So I
know,
really
you-
got sort of tricked into this
And you-
whole situation.
And you've got
It
a
was-
cool old copy of it wherever it went.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm not against reading it. I'm not saying I'm against it. It's,
All right, well, I'm just going to say that next week, if we do the show, I will be asking you for a reading update,
okay.
whether it be the new book you purportedly are going to get tomorrow in the mail, or the book that's right there, that's been there for a fucking month. Whatever happens, we'll go from there.
Now, do you? I don't know the history. Was the book a smash? The movie was made pretty soon after that.
I don't know. I was thinking about that because I have huge memory. Because when you said it was published in 1960.
Yeah.
And so I would have been 13. That's just perfect age to. But obviously, the movie would have come out after the book was
Right.
published. So it's probably about 63 when I saw the movie.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure, but I mean, I wasn't a great reader. I'm talking high school days. I wasn't a big novel reader.
Right.
So I probably saw the movie and then read the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have read the
And
book.
then it was required reading for many years,
You
right?
know, it
For
was
school
just-
kids.
I think probably, but it was, yeah, everybody was reading it. And the movie was so popular and did a whole lot to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was a powerful movie.
No, I do need to read it though, just because she keeps dropping so many references that I need to be hip to.
Have you,
Since she read it.
you seen the movie?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but it was years ago.
Right. I'd like to see the movie again because it was one of those that I know it had an effect on me.
Right. I was surprised they haven't remade it. They haven't remade it, have they?
No,
That's a good
I
point.
don't think so.
It was so well done though.
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, that'd be a hard one to scoop. Yeah.
Yep, July 11th, 1960 it was published.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll ask Percy.
And here we sit.
When was
half
the
of-
movie To Kill a Mockingbird made?
Ugh.
1962. That was quick.
God, that is
It's
quick.
a quick turnaround.
The book must have been a huge smash when it came out.
The book was a big hit. It's an easy read. I think either one of you could do it. I really do.
He's a reader. A little bit harder for me.
So
I need to find my glasses, my readers.
So if you send in the winning T-shirt, we'll also send you a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird.
And you better read it.
And we'll all sign it from the Jabberjaw Readers Fan Club.
You know what I learned last night? This is sort of a sidebar, but 21 states now no longer require cursive writing as part of the elementary school program.
I was wondering about that the other day, if they even taught it anymore.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's ramifications of not teaching that probably be hard to quantify.
Can you write in cursive?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my! Mine looks like a child that just learned how to do it. Does writing?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's that legible, and I don't tend to do it if I'm writing a song in a notebook or something.
Sometimes somebody will say something and I'll try to do it. Then I'm like, all right, I got it, and they leave. And I'm like, what in the world did I write down? I can't even read it.
I wonder how if a kid isn't taught cursive. I know this just from signing paperwork recently. They always have the signature sign and the print name sign.
Right.
So what do the kids do with the signature? Do they not have a signature? Is there, because you always do that, and that's cursive basically,
I
right?
bet they have a class where they spend teaching you how to write your name.
Right.
Not
Just the
They
autograph.
don't even call it cursive.
Autograph 101.
Write, your how you can do an autograph.
Well, it's funny now, a lot of the documents I deal with, that people have to sign it and return it to you. And they have this thing called DocuSign now, where they just basically touch the screen and it writes cursive. It's not even their, cursive
It's an
handwriting.
AI cursive version, but that's weird.
And then we had to do it at work. They give you a little triangle, a little rectangle, and you got to get your signature in there and fit it in, and it puts it everywhere for you.
Right, so you write it once,
Right,
and
and
then
it does it over and
so
over,
it is actually sort of your
And
signature.
it took me a bunch of times before we could even read. Because when I sign it now, if you get a bill at a bar or something, it looks like somebody just grabbed a pen and. We used to have some kids that would hang out with us, and they always wanted to sign the tabs. And for a while, I had a framed picture of all the different signatures for my name, like different kids that had signed my name. It's like people were like, with the big Y, with loops and stuff like kids do. People were like, man, this guy looks all right, but he's got the handwriting of an 8-year-old. Kyle Hogg.
There's a really cute scene in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel where Lenny Bruce is teaching Mrs. Maisel how to sign an autograph, and she keeps on doing it. He's like, no, it's too legible. Like, how did he describe it? It was like the less legible it is, the more that seriously they're going to take you. The more like a star you will seem. If they can read it, you're going to seem too human to them. It has to be sort of illegible, or they're going to feel ripped off. Well, that was an interesting observation.
But it is like when I lived in Richmond, my grandmother would write me letters, and it was just a nice handwriting is so beautiful. It's like, oh my God, it looks so intelligent and sophisticated.
That's gonna be a lost art.
Yeah.
You have nice handwriting. I have chicken scratch. I still look like a child. I feel like there's something. I was just sat there thinking about cursive writing last night, and nothing too profound, but I do think it's interesting as a child learning cursive and printing these different ways of using the same language. And I guess cursive is like, I'm not even smart enough to make this sound as interesting as I think it is to me, that each word is one fluid stroke.
Right.
And as opposed to printing where every letter is focused on. I guess cursive was supposed to be quicker, but I just feel like you're immersing by learning two different ways to write your language is just like double the immersion in the language itself. Like Like it just becomes more interesting and nuanced, and like, oh, that's the cursive and that's the
Right.
print, and I don't.
I read a history book of cursive writing, and I think there was, God, I can't remember now. I think there was 23 different styles of that writing.
Of cursive?
Yeah.
Of the English?
Yeah, so like different words, I mean, different, letters would look different. And then it was like in the 1920s or 30s or something, this one dude, his books got really popular. So all the schools started teaching this one type of cursive.
Oh, wow.
Because they were like, you know how some people just do stuff that looks different. You're like, you can't really tell what they're doing. So they tried to make it be universally, so everybody's cursive would look the same instead
Right.
of, because some people do that real fancy stuff, and so they would have the kids just sit there, they had those books with the line and the dotted line. And
Yeah,
the other
I
line.
was just daydreaming about that.
They were used to, like, I guess, different parts of the country, whoever taught it would teach the way that they learned it and stuff. Very cool.
Yeah, every classroom though had the same
Mm-hmm.
thing up on the wall above the blackboard. You go across there, it had all the cursive letters, and that would be your model.
Yeah.
And then you'd go branch off from that. But I don't believe that's going to be with us in 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, they're already not teaching it. The piece I saw on the news last night was actually talking about how some kids are getting back into, like, it's become a trendy thing to, like, write in cursive.
Typewriters
Like, it's
in
some
cursive.
novel,
Yeah.
interesting thing. Like, oh my God, what is that? Oh, I'm writing in cursive.
Yeah.
Whoa, how do you do that? It's, like, neat to the kids now for the few to have discovered this archaic thing. I had no idea that that wasn't being taught anymore.
Well, that's like a friend of mine worked at some big department store, and it was like 10:15. Oh, it was my sister worked at Walmart. It was 10:15. She told somebody, you get 15 minutes. And they're like, what time do I come back? Because they had like a clock on the wall. She said, in 15 minutes. He said, what time will that be? He didn't know how to read like a clock, He just would know like 10:15 or like, digital or 10. She's like, you got to be back at 10:30. He couldn't look at the clock and figure out, And she said he was like a normal guy. Just kids don't know how to do that anymore. It's like, God, you can't tell time on a clock. But how many people ever look at a clock anymore? Everything you look at is digital. Your phone just says your watch or whatever, it says 10:50 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I feel like there's like a double-edged sword with I feel like you could talk emphatically either way about how kids today are more brilliant than any generation that's ever come along. Like, they have insights into things, and they that they are proof of evolution, that we are getting better. On the other hand, I feel like you can make.
On the other hand, look at the kids today.
I mean, really, look at them.
I mean,
If you can look at them, mainly you just hear them.
Now, the kids at school, do you ever get anything handwritten, or it's all typed? Or texted to, or what is it?
Mostly typed and.
Yes, you don't get like any handwritten reports or anything?
Oh no.
no handwritten reports. I mean, I think it's just sort of, both are true, but it's not the kids' fault. The other side, there really does seem to be like a crisis in education in our country. Like, some of the statistics are unfathomable. The amount of kids that can't read and things like that coming out of high school. I see some of those statistics and I'm like, how is that even possible? It doesn't like 1 in 3 can't read or something, like in crazy numbers. That doesn't seem possible, that you could get out of high school and not really be able to read. How
I don't see that either.
Can you just imagine having to write unfathomable in cursive though? You'd be dizzy by the time you got to that time.
I'm seasick just imagining. But
It is crazy. I mean, it's so sad.
as a teacher, is there any insight you can offer as to what's happened, or how that's even possible, or do you?
Well, we don't have enough good teachers, and I don't think we're doing it the right way, and I think we've gotten bogged down in test scores and things like that aren't measuring properly, and I don't know. It's like you say, I don't know who to blame or where the blame is, but I know that the educational system's in a crisis in terms of manpower. But I don't know that that's what we would call the reason for the kids right now not being able to do what they are being supposed to be able to be being taught. And I don't really have a good answer for or an explanation.
The kids
and
haven't.
plus, I'm not in the arena anymore.
Right.
I'm
And
not,
a lot's changed since you left.
a lot has changed. A huge amount has changed. And none of it for the good of the well-being or the emotional, spiritual sustenance of a teacher. None of it has helped that. Everything has done nothing but shut that down. So there's just, I think, a bad attitude, more a sad attitude.
I can't imagine anybody would be against just basic, like if I was running for president, I would easily say like triple all public school teachers' salaries. I mean, it just seems like that alone, like who's going to be against that, first of all, and second of all, that would help, wouldn't it?
Yep.
They're not valued for what they're worth.
Never have been.
Right.
But at a certain, there for a long time, it was okay because you made enough to get by, and you were being emotionally justified in your existence.
It was a satisfying.
You felt it was satisfying, and you were rewarded for it in other ways. But if you start taking those rewards away, then you're not making enough money to raise your family. You have problems, and that's where we are.
Did you read any more of that book I gave you where the guy becomes a teacher?
I have got one chapter. I'm going to finish it tonight, and I'm going to give it to Daniel.
I thought he was a wonderful, the way they looked up to him as a teacher, and the way he could.
He's a great example of a teacher.
What's the premise of this?
They live out in the middle of nowhere, and the wife dies, and the father's trying to raise 3 boys, and he wants to get some help. So there's a ad in the paper like a can't cook but don't bite. What does it say? I can't cook but I don't bite. So this lady and a dude come in on the train, and they pick them up, and she cleans.
The whistling school.
Yeah. So. And
he gave it to me, and I'm going to give it to Daniel because the Latin influence is really cool, and Daniel's got that. I learned a lot about my son from that book.
Oh, right.
That's interesting.
About the potential for how Latin how important it can be. So I never have really understood Daniel's love of Latin and Greek.
Yeah, one of the sons is like too smart for the school. Like all the grades are in like one class, and he's got to teach first and 10th at the same time. So he decides he's going to teach the kid Latin in the morning, and the kid is there's kids like
the father is.
Well, the father actually speaks some Latin, but the dude that comes in on the train is like he's not really a teacher, but he just knows what he's just like a intellectual, I guess.
Yeah.
And just knows all this stuff. But he knows Latin, so he's teaching the kid Latin, and how the boy's brain just branches off once he learns all this stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting book. But I'm going to finish it tonight when I get home.
So it's fiction? It's just a story?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But kids today, too, what's the attention span of a kid? Or anybody, even me, if I'm at work, I gotta look at my phone like every hour, It's like, you can't.
Every hour, that's remarkable restraint.
It's like you can't, how can a kid sit there when they're used to having a phone like every 10 minutes?
I got mad at someone today that took them at least an hour to answer me. I mean, what's wrong with you?
It's like the world is going on so fast around you. To have to sit there and listen to a teacher teach for an hour, that's probably like, oh my God.
It's so true. I mean, and it seems like really transparent that as media and all this stuff was getting faster and faster, and teachers were staying at the same pace, and kids' attention spans were getting smaller, and that it seemed like really obvious that at a certain point they're like, we got to drug these kids.
Right.
Is that not what happened?
Well, even at work, people, you can't get people's phones away. When I used to work in New Jersey, like, no phones. I've got to know if my son is sick. You know, my husband might call me. Like, people will fight you like to the death before you can take their phone away from them. Like, they would say it to me, and I was like, okay, just put it in my bag. My dad had a heart attack, and I'm the one person at work that has my phone in the bag. I get off work, I got like 100 texts. My brother's like, MF, answer the phone. He'll be calling you all day. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Dad had a heart attack. You're like, just where are you? I'm like, I'm at work. You don't have your phone on, you moron. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. But everybody else, you know, their kids are at school, you know, like, I don't feel good. Can you come get me? Oh, you only got 2 hours to go. Hang in there, you know. It's like kids just need to be reassured, or adults do too, you know.
It's crazy.
Poor children.
Margie says, a lot of teachers have an excessive amount of kids and can't always do the one-on-one, but parents need to do their part and do the one-on-one with their kids.
Yep.
Yep. That's.
Now, was he a hard driver for you to get your homework done and all that stuff?
Well, I lived with Mom.
Oh, okay. Was she?
Not really. I was a pretty good student, though.
And my parents would just say, "Did you do your homework?" Like, yeah. They'd be like, "Okay."
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I would do it. I wouldn't, you know. I wasn't like somebody you had to like be after all the time.
Right.
You know?
I wasn't that great of a student, but I knew how to do just as much as I needed to do.
Right.
You knew how the game was played.
Yeah, I could tell at a pretty early age, like, okay, I got this figured
My
out.
dad's a teacher. I know how this game is played. You just see me as a number.
I don't even know. I've been so fascinated, especially the last few years, with a lot of different talking about how history's taught and things like that. And, you know, Lex and Corey had 2 kids in high school and stuff, and I wanted to see I was like, I want to see what the kids are being taught these days. I figured like a history book would be fascinating just to see how things are being taught but I don't think they have books anymore.
Oh yeah.
At least
that
my
crazy?
request was never fulfilled. Like, I would love to see one of their school books, but
I don't know how that works, but I think a lot of classes, they don't use books per se.
Yeah.
You know, use different sources, but one book isn't the answer the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm. I used to love all that stuff. Getting my book bag, picking out the cool book bag, getting all your books,
Right.
covering the books, putting your name in there. Like, all that was super satisfying. Putting the book covers on and having this huge stack of books. There's just something so romantic about it all and
Now,
fascinating.
did you decorate your locker in high school?
Not really. You mean on the inside?
Yeah.
Did you?
I'm trying to think. So I had to share one with somebody. It was like one of those. I don't know. I wish I could think of his name. He was like 22 years old. I don't even know why he was still in school. And I was scared to death of him, man. He would leave at like 4th period to go to work.
And you were sharing a lot.
And I had to share a locker with him. Yeah. And he'd come up there, you know, cigarette smoke all over him and stuff. And I was looking at him, and he's like, "God, you know."
You were assigned, or how
Yeah,
did
I think it was. We must
I've
have
never
had,
heard of sharing a
we
locker.
must have had too many students or something. But sometimes I would see him just walk by and just go to the class, up my books. I was too scared of him. But I remember he was in my homeroom, and he would tell him the days he had to leave early to go to work. He was old enough to go to work.
Yeah, I got to be at work at 2.
Damn work. This damn work at school. Man, I got a kids got to take care of. Got this little punk Kyle coming over here trying to get into my locker when I'm in there. got my girly pictures hung up in there, and he's
I think I probably had a little
school
like a picture
locker.
of skateboarders.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Some
When you just said that, a woman's name just popped into my head. Cheryl Tiggs.
for posters. Yeah.
You remember that?
you remember that?
Do you remember how much you two enjoyed that together?
Actually,
Look at that, Nathan. Look at that.
Actually, the one that I remember was in Paul Espresso's bathroom,
Oh,
and he had it hanging up. And when I would use it, I would admire Cheryl Tiggs.
Was that the one
Who,
that?
by the way, was you can look her up.
Was that the one in a red? Was she in a red
T-I-E-G-S.
bathing suit, like a red one-piece bathing suit?
She had.
I think you're thinking of Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, maybe.
This was a bikini, so it was a two-piecer.
Jabber John has gone down the drain now as we talk about our childhood
All right, I'll be
fantasies.
back. I'm embarrassed.
Where were we?
All right,
Man, Dad's face has turned bright red. He is
I'm in the-
blushing. We
I
got.
am in the gutter.
He got himself blushing.
Elliot made this for me
Cheryl
today,
Tiggs.
and I can hide behind it anytime I want
That's
to.
that's very
It's a
handy.
wonderful tool, and I will use it. And I think somebody ought to make one for y'all.
Yeah, we all need one of
Now,
those.
when you were going to school, did they still have like first day of hunting? The kids could leave early to go hunting.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yep,
I remember
yep.
that.
There they go.
Yeah, there they go. All the kids with their rifles. And I always felt like a loser because I didn't have a rifle. I just sit there for class all day. Where are all your friends, Kyle? Half are hunting, the other one has a job. I don't know where they go. He's out changing tires at the Hershey plant.
That was back in the day when there was a smoking section
Oh,
on the
yeah,
school
man.
grounds for the
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
Y'all can smoke over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man. But at least we wrote in cursive.
That's exactly right.
Hey, Joe's in here. Elliot is watching. Right? Good timing, Elliot. You've
Hey, Elliot.
definitely kicked the show up a notch
Hi,
here.
Elliot. How are you, buddy? It's Granddad. I just look like Elmo.
Elmo with a How About Them Tits
me see
t-shirt
if-
on.
Let me try this thing on. Hey, Elliot.
Percy.
Looking perfect.
Percy's like, who is this?
Am I in focus? Hi. Percy doesn't know what's going on. Come here, buddy.
Percy.
Come
You
here.
don't know who Elmo is?
Come here.
They don't let you watch children's shows.
Percy, come here. Come here. Come here.
Oh, Percy, you're so brave.
Look at me.
I don't trust that Elmo.
Gosh.
I don't trust his Elmo.
You come on with a haircut, that confuses him. a little
Right,
bit.
he
Then all of
was
a-
barking
Then all of a
at
sudden
me.
you have a mask on.
Let's see how Kyle looks. This might. Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
Elliot.
Oh yeah, that's a big improvement. You might-
Did you get your haircut too?
I like
Something's
this.
different.
I like to stay and talk longer, Elliot, but I gotta go to work. I gotta
I gotta go to work. Billy, welcome to the show.
standing there in the hallway smoking a cigarette. Tell me he's gotta go to work.
Billy says we all need a face we can hide behind.
oh, don't we?
You tell Mr. Kurtz to kiss my ass. I gotta go to work.
All right, Elliot, we're going to say goodbye to Elmo for now.
That is wonderful. What a cool thing.
What a good job you did.
Now, what do you think about? And I agree with this. The push now, like you tell kids, you don't have to go to college. Go to trade school and get a job and all. I mean, even when I was in school, you didn't really make fun of it. It was like those kids that got on the bus and went out like to the Valley Tech or whatever. You didn't make fun of them, but you're like, oh my God, this is not the smartest. Now they're
It
probably
did have a. We didn't make fun of them, but there
Yeah.
was an air about it.
Right.
That was like.
And now those guys are probably making more than all of us combined now.
That's the irony. They're all gainfully employed, self-employed, self-reliant, and living in mansions outside of town while all the college graduates are.
I've got an AC business that I run. I've had it for 20 years. I got a house down by the river. I got a trailer. I got
I mean, learning a trade is such a brilliant way to go.
Yeah,
Plumbing,
I see now
electrician.
I see people pushing that now. Like you shouldn't downplay that. You should learn a trade is something you can do.
Right now, if you can drive a truck, you
Yeah.
can make $1 million.
Yeah.
It's just hard to come by. You get people to do certain jobs.
But I wonder if those kids had a vision. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do in high school. I never even thought what I was going to do. I just, the world was just going to open up and be my oyster, and I was going to. But those kids must have thought, man, I'm going to make a bunch of money and and learn how to do something.
Well, I mean, back in the early part of all this, when I was coming through and everything, it was the trade schools were just that. They were for the kids that couldn't handle the academics.
Right.
It wasn't a voluntary thing. It was more like you got
Default.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it got the reputation. And
Right.
over the years, that was changing every year. And it always was different for a lot of people. Like you say, to be an electrician was a noble calling. And to do it without having to learn algebra, it makes it even smarter.
Right.
So it wasn't anything wrong with it, but it was just the opinion was that the guys that could go to college would go to college.
Right.
And that stayed with people, because I've dealt with
You're sort of just put on a track by some kind of default of some.
yeah. And you could get off of that track intellectually, academically, or
But most
socially.
kids would never get off the track they were put on by
No.
their own circumstances.
Right.
You never think to leap the track.
No. You probably didn't even know the rules that put you on that track a lot of times until just later. But
But just think, if you go to school and learn how to be an electrician or an AC guy, you could go home and fix stuff. I went to all this school. I came home. I couldn't fix. That
Right.
doesn't work. I better call somebody.
All you could do is like start problematic conversations at dinner with your family. That was your acquired skill.
I've got a question we should discuss. Which one of those kids we went to high school with should we call and pay $500 to fix this?
exactly.
It is true.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, it's really kind of like if you were really, like, I don't know anything about electronics. I couldn't fix anything. But if you were, I mean, in other words, I guess where I'm going is people will come out of college after 10 years and call themselves an electrical engineer. Well, wouldn't they have been better off going to learn how to do
Trade school to begin
trade
with.
school to begin with, and then add all that other stuff on later? If we just didn't have that prejudice against you're only going to do electronics because you're too
Right.
dumb to do algebra.
Now, how that?
Right.
Because I see things on Facebook like we have to teach kids. It's not a disgrace in the right word. It's not a, it's like you said, it's a noble calling to go do something that you're skilled at. How did it become that we looked at it that way? Because it started off like for people that really just couldn't handle it in the.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, like he says, it was for people that weren't getting the grades in like algebra, calculus, and advanced.
So the schools were just trying to help them. Like you're never going to make it as a lawyer.
and they
You
were
should.
trying to fill in the needs of society too.
Right.
They need electricians, you need painters, you need
Right.
people doing the daily work of different things. So you need plumbers and so
Way more than you need like philosophy
Yeah.
majors.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
you only need one philosophy major really per town. Whereas you need several plumbers, several electricians,
Yeah.
carpenters. If I could, I I think that's a very healthy thing. I hope that is turning
Yeah.
around to where every kid looks
Yeah.
at their options at a younger age and decides what they'd like to do. And trade should be considered a
Right.
noble
Oh, yeah.
choice, not like a default track because
Right.
you suck at calculus. It's ridiculous.
Especially if you're interested in it and like it or something.
Well, certainly. And,
God, probably half those kids I went to, they're retired and their sons run the business now, and they're.
oh, yeah.
Margie says, well, if you're a mechanical technician, you don't need that extended warranty. Oh, by
No,
the
you
way,
still need the extended warranty. Call us.
by the way, you know how your opening thing said Jabber John episode 29, I think?
Which one is that right?
We're 30.
We're 30?
We're 30
oh
today.
my gosh,
I thought-
see?
Yeah, episode 30.
I
Wow.
thought that when it came on.
Oh man, I've lost. I should have gone to trade school with my with my accounting abilities.
So speaking of things not being appropriately revered and honored, I was thinking last night about how I think it's interesting that the intelligentsia, if that's what you would call them, have how video games are not considered a high art form. And I think that's interesting. They seem to be dismissed. There's no game designers. That's a well-known thing. A lot of people talk about it like it's a waste of time and stuff like that. But you could say that about all arts to a certain extent. You could say that about reading books if you wanted to. But I just think it's interesting the slight that video games get when really they are a pretty incredible
Now, like,
art form.
does a modern game, does it tell you who does, like if you go buy a game now, does it tell you who designed it and who programmed it and all that stuff?
The company.
Oh, that's it.
And companies definitely have reputations in the gamer world.
Right.
But you're never going to like read open the New York Times to the arts section or
Right.
whatever and see them talking about a new video
Right.
game or something.
Right.
Like but really the the video games these days are playable movies that take place in these worlds that are created by designers.
Right.
It's paintings, it's music, it's dialogue, it's story, it's playable, it's inhabitable. It's like it has all the things that are. I mean, I feel like
And it's able to correspond with whatever dumb move you make or whatever.
right, and you can play it.
Yeah. Well, I know some of the old music, they put out like some compilations now, like old video game music that they've finally gone back and listened to. And so these people actually had some talent, you know?
Right. Oh yeah, exactly. You know,
I think it's a good point. I don't see any argument to it. It's a genre that I don't know anything about, but there's a lot of genres I don't know anything about. So I could see where it could be an art form at the highest levels.
Now, do you have any idea, like, a new video game comes out? They sell them still, right? Or do you rent them online, or however you do it?
you pay for the download.
So, like, if a new game came out, how many do you think they sell? Like, millions?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And it's released, like, the same day all over the world?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, yeah,
I feel like it's
hundreds of millions.
I feel like a lot of like a lot of art is still talked about in terms of old school terms, like paintings, theater, movies are considered, books. All these things are still considered high art, but video games it almost feels silly to say it.
Right.
But at the same time, I remember watching this documentary on hackers on Netflix or something, and I was about 10 minutes into it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is where the underground is these days. It's online. It's these gamers. Like, this is where new music's being created, new language, new culture, like as a bohemian myself, sort of wondering what happened to the underground. I was watching this one documentary, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's online.
Well.
This is where this is where our culture is being shaped. This is the avant-garde here. These are the new intellectuals, and the New York Times and a lot of people don't even know anything about this dialogue. They don't know how to talk about it. They can't reference a game, like the art culture that it is today, that this is what the kids is feeding their imaginations. These are the worlds they inhabit, and the whole hacker community. This is where the radicals are. This is where the revolution is taking place. This is Andy Warhol's warehouse today. Like, if you want to know where the Dorothy Parker and the Algonquin table, or the round table, like if you want to know where those scenes are today, they are online. They are in the forums and in the games, and that's the art of today that the old school art intelligentsia has no reference for whatsoever. They don't even, they act like it doesn't exist.
It's sort of like when graffiti came out, people just thought it was messing up trains and stuff, because they didn't, it's something you couldn't sit down in your home, or you couldn't go to a museum and see. But now, like, they have these, museum, exhibits of graffiti from the old days. People just aren't used to, they're not, like you said, they don't know how. They can't say go down and wait for the 125 train at 3 o'clock and it's going to ride by. Like, there it is,
But probably the most significant contemporary visual artist, it's got to be Banksy.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this guy? He's this guy that was tagging, like he said, pieces of art in different places, like suddenly on a train or on a wall is this very compelling piece of art that somebody did in the middle of the night.
And nobody knows who he is.
And he was anonymous. I feel like maybe in the last couple of years it was revealed finally, but no one's completely sure who it was. He was completely anonymous. But you would recognize a Banksy immediately. Like, if you saw one, you'd be, oh my God, that's Banksy, like right there.
And he just sold a piece like 2 or 3 years ago at a museum for like a couple $1 million. And when they unveiled it, it disappeared. He had made it so the whole painting like dissolved.
Self-destructed.
Yeah. So you paid $3 million or whatever the price was, and it just went away right in front of your eyes.
Oh, that's not right.
Well, that was the art of it. Like you paid it, and then he just like is
I
gone.
would want my money back.
Well, so it was basically the transaction was the art almost. It's like the art of the deal. Like Trump would have loved that.
I don't know. I think we're going a little bit too far. With that.
Well, yeah, as they do.
But then people have had a fit too, because people are like deface his stuff, or people are like, yo, it's his. And they're like, no, it's just. He's not making it to be like a, I'm better than you. So he's probably not even caring if people are defacing it. But, people are like, that's a Banksy, you can't touch it, leave it alone, and all that type of stuff.
It's fascinating.
Banksy.
But he's part from the world I'm talking about, definitely, from the underground digital art world.
I've got a book I haven't read yet about like people that design they'll just like these artists in London will like just get a house and decorate it, and it's open for one day. Then like people go through, then they just paint over everything, just like a white walls and stuff. It's almost just trying to capture a moment now, like to say if you were there, you saw it. If you weren't there, you didn't see it. Mm-hmm. There's a band called Justified Ancients of Moo Moo that.
What?
Justified Ancients of Moo Moo.
Ancients of Moo Moo? What?
And they had like a bunch of hits and stuff, but they were using an ABBA song, and so ABBA sued them. They had to give all the money back, but they won like $1 million for this prize, and so they had to give ABBA the money. But they went through all the albums in a lake and burned the money and filmed it. They burned like £1 million or whatever, and they were on TV. Like people were like just booing. I'm like, what did you should have donated it to charity and stuff. Like they're like, no, it was an art piece burning this money. And then they got in a lot of trouble. But I think it was like 2 years ago, they decided they were going to do a museum piece of just stolen shopping carts. So they asked people to just bring shopping carts to them. And people were just walking up with shopping carts. They were making a huge pyramid out of stolen shopping carts.
The cops are right there to arrest each patron as they came in.
So it's almost like events, like the Warhol thing. Like it's events now that,
Sort of up with the flash mob phenomenon.
Yeah.
Remember, you ever seen any of those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fascinating.
Yeah.
But A lot of this stuff y'all are talking about, I don't identify with as art.
Well, the video games.
But
maybe
that's
that-
not recent either, because that gentleman y'all been talking about a lot, I don't consider an artist.
Banksy.
No.
You would.
But-
you
but
would.
I'm
but-
talking about Warhol.
Oh, Warhol. Right.
But Banksy's actually talented. I mean, he's got some. His paintings look, or his art looks decent. You know.
Yeah,
Wow.
who, Banksy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. His are legitimately inspiring. Or thought-provoking or
Now,
something.
what was the guy with the big nose in like World War II? They would put what's his face was here. What was that guy?
Kilroy.
Yeah, Kilroy was here.
Yeah, what's the story of that?
I wasn't around then.
But
That was
but supposedly that was
that
like
was like the original tag. though.
yeah,
that was the original.
yeah, it's like somebody
thing.
did that,
Spray
that
paint
took
tag.
off. You know, that was
I
like
don't know.
Kilroy was here.
That was a Vietnam era thing.
yeah,
for
was
sure.
it? Yeah.
No, it was World War II.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Kilroy was
I
here.
think so. I have no idea. I don't know the story of Kilroy.
That'd be
But
a good deep
I'm
dive.
thinking it was more World War II.
Was it Kilroy?
Yeah, I think it was.
Kilroy? Was
Yeah,
way
I forgot the
remember.
name. Yeah.
Kilroy.
Yeah.
What's Killjoy?
Killjoy? Somebody that's a party pooper.
Right, so that's an actual word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been called that before.
I doubt that.
No way.
That's the
They
first.
just don't know
that's,
you.
That's the first lie you've told on air.
Don't be a killjoy. Stay. Please stay. If you stay, I'll fix you I'll fix you a chocolate cake. Where am I? What happened? There?
If you stay, I'll paint you a Banksy. I'll give you one of my Banksy paintings.
I'll give you a can of Campbell's soup.
But the thing about the video games, maybe the kids that grew up playing that are getting to the age where they'll be writing for the papers and stuff. So maybe they'll be able to explain it better than some New York Times person that doesn't have any clue what's going on. And,
Clutch says in the chat the two best-selling video games in 2023 have each sold more than 10 million copies.
wow.
And it's only July.
10
Wow.
million copies. Think about that. Well, it gives a lot of credence to what you're saying. And I give credence in the sense that it's a world I don't know anything about. It's like a shadow world.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say hackers and those, I mean, that's where you can hang out, because the regular world doesn't even know you're down there doing all that stuff.
Right.
Now, where do video games come from now? Is it Japan or is it from the United States?
all around the world. We definitely have some good ones in the States. I was thinking I was sort of arguing with myself, and I was like, what's the difference between a video game and like a novel or something? And I was like, well, with a novel, you have to imagine you have to use your imagination and picture it in your head, whereas with the video game, it's like sort of. So that was like my debate to myself, but then I realized when I was thinking about it, one proof of how much imagination you actually use with a video game is how, like, if you take a child now that's a gamer and try to put him in front of one of our video games from when we were a kid, they would be mortified and so impatient. Like, it would seem like the dumbest thing. But to us, it was amazing. Yeah. Like, it was fully formed. Like, we took Pac-Man and wrote songs about him and made stuffed animals and had T-shirts and stood in line for a chance to play. Stood in line for a chance to play this. I mean, this stuff was full-blown amazing stuff in our minds at the time. Wow. But the kids today, because they got these cooler video games, they see those games as really stupid and boring and excruciating, and that's just primitive. Sort of. Yeah. But that's also evidence of like how much imagination we'd actually bring to the game. Right. We made that happen in our heads.
Well, it's also like you talk about a really good novel. You can almost like you're just walking around with them, or you're sitting at the table listening. These video games, they actually are in there. They're like the person that's they're actually right there in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's really different from the way we grew up.
Catherine and I just finished a game. It's got to be the number one slot in all the games we've played over the years. This game, we are fully immersed in it. She found a screenshot on her phone of when we first started playing the game that we'd sent to Saul and Christiana, and we were both amazed to find out it was 4 months ago.
Wow.
We just finished it last night.
Wow.
And felt.
Well, what do you mean when you say you finished a game?
Well, it's a progression.
So it levels.
Mm-hmm.
You're
You're advancing through like a storyline, and this
does
one
it actually come to a final day and say, "This is it, you graduated," or how
well, we
does
could
that-
keep playing actually, but we've achieved all the tasks. There was six bosses that
Well, what
six
are you supposed-
gods that
what
we
are
had
you
to
supposed
defeat.
To do now? Are you a god?
Next, I guess. So. Well, you either go to the next game.
He doesn't
Or-
want to say yes, I'm a god. He's trying to think of something besides saying yes, I'm a god.
It does sort of feel like that. We're at the top of the food chain now. We have all the weapons that make all the old enemies look insignificant.
That's the way I feel when I go to Food Line.
Leveling up.
I can take this out.
Ding, 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 ding.
Go ahead.
This game will be coming out. The way the games work nowadays, which is really interesting and different than when I was a kid, is they don't really end. Because now that we've gotten this far, and at the end of the year, they're going to be coming out with a new addition to the game. So
Sure.
they keep adding to it,
Oh yeah.
which is sort of interesting. It's like getting a record that every few months a new
Right.
song is added to it. And
Or a drug that you have to keep taking
Right,
over
right.
and over and over to accomplish the same
there,
thing.
there's definitely
I can do it.
dopamine galore flying all over the place.
So how do y'all play games? Like on a screen with like controls, or you play on your phone, or what do you do?
No, we have 2 TVs and 2 Xboxes side by side.
Okay.
That's our leveled up.
But are you
upgraded-
interacting together like a team?
We're both in there together.
Okay.
You know, in the world, building houses. We like the ones where you build houses and stuff.
Wow.
It's a whole genre called survival.
Wow. I
survival
meant to
games.
read the rules for that Feed a Prophet. I was going to bring it over here and I
Oh
forgot
yeah,
all about it.
old school. Still like a good game of checkers. So
Oh yeah.
don't get me wrong.
Have you ever built your own chess set?
No, not my own chess set. I've built my own cribbage board,
Wow.
which was really hard. What's that?
Just bring that camping.
Oh yes, cribbage on the camping list.
Now, do y'all make sure they have Wi-Fi when you go camping? Like you won't go there if they don't have it, or can you go for 2 days without Wi-Fi? Or do
We could definitely go without it.
y'all don't end up fighting and arguing with each other? Catherine, I need that. No, I'm just going to drive into Verona so I can look it up on my phone.
It's pretty much everywhere you go these days, anyways. But I like when I'm cut off from it.
Okay.
When I'm forced,
Yeah,
it's way easier when you're forced to be cut off from it than to
Right.
just try to voluntarily cut yourself off of it.
Stranded Lake, we were trying to send pictures and they weren't being sent. Or you have like that moment of panic, like my photo didn't go through. Like get in the car, get the kids in the car. We got to drive her to town so my photo can go through.
Climbing to the top of the mountain, you get in a hike, but just so you can send that text. I put in 3 miles
We're almost
away.
to the top. You kids wait here. I'll be back. Made it. I run back down. No, maybe they want to reply. I got to run back up there.
I didn't know you liked hiking. I just had to send this text.
Oh my God. Just imagine people that live their whole lives without a cell phone. How pitiful was that?
Say again.
How pitiful was it that people lived their whole lives without a cell phone?
I feel so grateful to have one foot on the platform and one foot on the train. And you've seen even more than I have, but just to have lived before and to experience the after, I feel so
Right.
blessed to have that perspective and to be
yeah.
able to appreciate. Because, kids that are born these days, like the Parks kids, their entire life they've had
Yeah.
social media and
Yeah.
all this. That's their reality.
Right.
It's such a different brain.
I read a book about how much the telegraph changed like the Civil War, and like how the Union would just have people that were just in the South. So all they did was just cut wires. If they could just cut wires, it would hold army directions down by like days, and like just to be able to well, I guess when they maybe like 1861, you had to send a horse out for like a week to tell somebody something. Then you got the telegram. Yeah, we know what to do. It's actually up to date and stuff.
It's still one of the most important things, the fact that Elon Musk is flying his satellites over Ukraine so that they can stay
Oh,
in
really?
communication now, because one of the first
I
things
didn't
they
know
would do
that.
would be take out all the cell phones towers and
Right.
stuff like that. It's the first
Oh,
thing
wow, I
you do
didn't
in
know
war is
that.
sever the communication lines.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk provided his Starlink satellites to Ukraine so
Oh,
that
my gosh,
so
that's
there's no way
crazy.
their communications could be cut off. It's fascinating.
Wow. He's doing that
Parallels
for
there.
free, or what's he?
I think
Not
so.
that it matters, but
Yeah.
yeah.
For
Yeah.
just $19.99.
If every citizen chips in $19.99 and gets your car fully warranted, you'll be able to.
So what's your bird this week?
Well, I can do it pretty quick. Let's knock them out. I have 3 birds.
3.
Yeah, because I wanted to, and they're not bird feeder birds. They're when you're in the country birds. And they
But
are
in these parts.
in these parts, and most of the country, all around the East Coast, and most of the, one of these is somewhere. I mean, there's different ones, but the birds I'm talking about are swallows. And so I thought I would just talk.
We
a
have
little
those
bit.
in the sky here, right?
Well, the swallows are all a family of 6 different genera that all fly and feed on insects while they're flying. So they eat while they're flying all the time.
I found that fascinating.
And yeah, and they're the ones, if you go over a freshly mowed field or a hay field, you see all those swooping birds. There are different types of swallows. If you go out and walk on Bell's Lane, you'll probably see tree swallows. The tree swallows are they're noticeable because they have a white breast and a green sheen. Is a beautiful green metallic color on their back. And they've gotten into, they're the swallows that build in tree holes in trees, so they love birdhouses. So I have friends in the last few years, there's been a nationwide movement to bring back bluebirds. And so people are building, and Dad, my father, your granddad, was a bluebird house guy. And he was the first time I saw him was at his house. But you go out on Bell's Lane, you'll see probably more tree swallows in the bluebird houses than bluebirds, which is okay. They're not, they're not an invasive species like the starlings and the sparrows that knock the bluebirds out. So most of the time, if you have tree swallows, you let them go ahead because they're a cool bird too. It's just not as cool as a bluebird
Right.
if you're a bluebird fan. But so the tree swallows are very common around here. They didn't used to be, but because of the houses, they've come around. Now the one that most I grew up, that most people remember, if you've ever been out in the country, especially if you grew up around the farm, if you see a barn, you're probably going to have barn swallows.
Are they called barn swallows?
They are barn
That's a
swallows.
different.
They're smaller than the tree swallow. I'll show you the pictures.
Let's see the picture.
The purple. They have a purple back and a red front here and a white belly. And they're beautiful.
Wow.
But they fly so fast and so quick you don't usually see them up close. They don't like land on the, and let you see them.
Do they flock?
They do flock, especially at night. They flock up. But during the day, they're feeding on the same bugs. So, like if you mow a field, all those insects are jumping around. The swallows are going crazy.
And you're just eating them out of the air.
And they're just catching them out
And
of
it's
the
all
air.
hand-wing coordination.
Yep, perfect. And there's the barn swallow right there.
Do any birds use?
And then turn the page, and that's the tree swallow.
Oh, look at that. Echolocation is just unique to bats, right?
Pretty much. I don't know of any birds that use echolocation offhand.
Oh, there's the green sheen, the tree swallow.
Oh yeah, wow.
Such a particular tail.
Yeah.
You also see the bats.
What's
the
this?
The swallows. That's their nest.
Whoa, it's like a wasp or something.
Yeah,
They're
the barn swallow usually builds a cup nest like the one on the left. And they're the ones that you see with them. They use mud and build a mud nest. But some of the other swallows build like a little adobe with an opening, and you
Right.
can climb inside.
Wait, you're gonna have to tell me more about that.
Yeah, why does some of them like to be in the barn? Just more protection?
It's a good question. but
Look
they
again at
just-
this
they
nest.
very seldom ever see a barn swallow nest that's not in a building. Now, it doesn't have to be a barn. It could
Right.
be any old building.
Now this nest is like stuck to something, right? Like it's hanging down, right?
Yeah, well, they're all hanging down.
They're all hanging down.
But they usually have a little something to support them, and then they're a caked mud. They
Caked
attach the
mud?
mud, and then after they've got a little mud thing going,
And that's what you called adobe?
yeah, I don't know why I called
Right.
it that, but that's it's a mud house. But then they build a nest inside that. Inside there, they build
And
a.
it-
They use.
And it sticks to the ceiling because of the mud.
Yeah, they mix it in and
God, that's
How
a lot
about
of
that? So
work.
how do they transport the mud?
in their little beaks.
In their little
they
beaks.
land in there and they just take it over. and
How
over and
do they
over.
do that?
They know how to do it.
They were the
It's
first ones to build
Because
the
you have to have
pyramids.
sticks and mud. I mean, if you imagine that little beak starting that project,
Yeah.
like what little dab of mud and a stick in it. I mean, I can't picture how this is
How
possible.
many trips that would take?
How many trips it would take.
Yeah. But they do
You
it.
start with some mud,
Trying to find the first piece of mud you put. Like, where did I put that first piece?
right? And then
And the tree swallow doesn't do all that. He just finds a birdhouse.
smart.
I think they're the ones that went to college.
Right.
The barn swallows went to technical school.
Right.
And they're prettier, by the way. I think
Those tails are so distinct. Is that
they
unique?
all have a forked tail. They
Forked
all
tail.
have that same shape. It's got to be the most aerodynamic way because of the way they move.
Yeah, you know the military's looked into that design.
Oh yeah.
There seems to be a lot going on there.
No, do they have a song or
They don't
chirp?
have much. Yeah, they chip and do their little stuff, but they don't have. They're not famous for their singing.
Are there the only birds that affix a mud hanging nest like that?
A lot of birds use mud.
They do?
Different the orioles and
Because
going
it's
back
so
to-
remarkable because, you know, most nests are, I could see, it's so easy to imagine, it's still miraculous, but that they built. They just put sticks in a pattern
Right.
on a foundation.
Right.
But this is hanging, affixed with mud. It
Well,
just
it's like they build the basement, and then they build a little nest inside of that. But they have to build the bottom structure. too.
right. It's remarkable.
But there are other types of swallows around here too. If you live by a river, which we did, you have what is called a rough-winged swallow, and then there's a bank swallow and a cliff swallow.
Wow.
And except for the rough-winged, they're all named by where they nest. The cliff swallow literally builds holes in the cliffs along the side of a river, and the bank swallow. The cliff swallow builds on the side of the rocks. So I had those out on the rock face. So, and then the rough-winged swallows, I don't know where they build. They build wherever they're not named for that. They're named after that. But
Rough part of town.
those all look about the same. They all are brown, not as colorful. They're brown on the top and white on the bottom. I couldn't tell them apart.
Now, do they interact as like or do they stay pretty much together?
They interact in terms of feeding. They'll feed together. They don't bother each other.
Right.
It's competitive. You know, I can catch more than
Right,
you, but they
first-
don't run anybody off.
First come, first serve.
Yeah, it's just exactly. So, yeah, and if you go walking on Bell's Lane, you'll probably see barn swallows and tree swallows tomorrow. And if you go down the Middle River, you might see bank swallows and cliff swallows.
So they all build a variation of this mud nest, except for the ones that live in the houses.
Right.
But even those,
But
do they
go-
build something inside the house?
They build a beautiful little nest like the other birds we've talked about. You know, with arranging the grass and the feathers and the fur.
Right.
So they make a regular nest. They don't live in the mud, but the mud is like the foundation to the house.
Right.
Wait a minute. So I thought birdhouses, they just went in there and slept. They actually built a nest in the
They
birdhouse?
will,
Oh, I never knew
in
that.
general, they build a nest. And
I
You
thought
usually want to clean out the birdhouse for the next season or
Oh,
whatever,
wow.
so the new
the
ones.
mites, different things,
Hmm.
parasites. Yeah.
Here's the song of the tree swallow. Oh, it's almost imperceptible. And for some reason, it's really
Trying to
quiet.
think if there was anything else. But if you think about it, they only going to be around when the bugs are around. So in the wintertime, they're not around here. They're going to have to go south because they're not going to be able to find the insects.
Does the swallow have anything to do with the way they eat or anything, or why they?
No, I don't know where that comes from. We'll have to ask Daniel the Latin root of how that got to be.
Makes sense if they're eating all the bugs right out of the air, that people are seeing them swoop down and swallow these bugs right out of the air.
Yeah. It did say tree swallows will also eat berries, but other swallows is pretty much all insects.
That's your northern rough-winged swallow.
You gotta get that northern in there again.
That's not enough to hear. Any questions about swallows
Any questions about swallows?
or any observations?
Oh, there's the tree swallow.
Twitter. They're a Twitter.
Yeah, it's a Twitter. The Dawn song.
So living like where you and me live, we wouldn't really see any swallows around
No.
there.
Never seen one at our house. Now at Frank's Mill, there are rough-winged swallows. What I've come to call that because I didn't know if they were which they were.
Right.
I need a real bird watcher to tell me what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've had somebody tell me they were rough-winged. I think the bank swallow's got a whiter breast, but I don't know. Well, that's the end of birds.
That was a good one. It's a good
Yep.
bird.
Yeah, it's good to know You know, like I say, these aren't in town and they don't come to the feeder, but they're a very common bird. Most of people have grown up on some level where they've seen them anywhere.
Do they migrate?
They migrate a little bit. In other words, the ones that live here now will go down to Texas or Mexico or somewhere because they need living insects. So they follow the heat, which means the way the climate's going,
They'll just be here
they'll
a
be
year
here
round.
for now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but they do flow, but they don't migrate so much. They just kind of move with the weather. As fall comes, they just move further south.
Wow.
But in the spring, you see them come back up this way.
I remember when I lived in New Jersey, we went towards, it was getting to be winter time, and we went to buy some feed for the bird house. And the guy said, I'm not going to sell it to you. And we're like, why not? And he goes, the birds aren't supposed to be here this time of year. It's bad for them. They're supposed to migrate. If there's food here, they'll stay here, but they're not supposed to. Their life pattern is going, migrating. So if you're going to feed them, if you stop, they're just going to be up here with no food, So but I was like, you're not going to sell it to us? He goes, no, it's not good for the birds.
Good looking out.
And I was like, yes, sir. Give me some dog treats, then we'll get out of here. But I thought that was nice that he explained it to us. I thought they would, feed them, but I guess that does mess. Like just like you're gonna be a killjoy if you leave. People keep giving you stuff as long as you're there, but once you,
I don't know. Yeah, I have questions about that, but I think it's a good thought.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has really a whole lot of validity.
Right.
Maybe if it was done on a worldwide, on a national level.
Right.
But I don't think one person feeding the birds is. And I'm also one of those people that doesn't think the feeding the ducks the bread is going to kill them at the duck pond.
Right. Right.
God, we saw a fish in the duck pond. It was like as big as I was. One of those goldfish.
Oh yeah.
It looked like a real face coming up looking at you. I was like, what in the world is that? It's scary looking.
Yeah, they're huge. They've got some 25
Yeah,
inches.
oh my
in there.
God.
They've been transplanting some of the bigger ones out of Lake Thames too over to the duck pond, according to an Adam Rosin post on Facebook.
Right.
Man,
They
those things
came
are
up and asked him
huge.
if they could take one of his bigger catches, saying they wanted some bigger ones over there.
Well, I can see that with the catfish. I don't see that with carp. We don't need bigger carp in the duck pond.
Right.
They'll start eating the little ducks.
Now, how much do those ducks eat a day, do you think?
I don't know. But
Well
they
over
shit
what they're
more than
supposed
they eat.
Right. That's a problem, isn't
Yeah,
it?
God, when people feed them, like, as long as the sun's up, they're getting food.
Well, they're not getting enough food from people, but the city feeds them. But there's, and then there's other wild ducks are flying in all
Right.
the time. I don't know how wild they are, but they have wings. They're coming in
Right.
too, because they're getting a free meal. But,
Are koi carp
it's the same family.
same family?
Yeah,
Goldfish same family?
goldfish, same family. It's the carp family, but yeah.
But a goldfish wouldn't get big like that. If you
I think you could. I mean, you could find goldfish that get that big. Yeah.
really.
Oh yeah.
But it's a myth that a fish will only grow to the size of its bowl.
I don't know about that. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I've heard that all my life, and it seems to be true, but
Defies reason.
it
to a certain-
defies reason. If you feed them enough, I think they keep getting bigger, but I don't know. I don't see how they can figure that out. So I don't know the answer to that.
Can you imagine that life, living in a fishbowl? Not even an aquarium, just a fishbowl your whole life. Just circle, circle, circle. Oh, man.
Yeah.
But they apparently
They don't even.
they don't have
video
memories.
Look at this.
Like that.
Look at
Is
this.
it Friday Night Lights reference or some other football show?
Look at this.
Ted Lasso, be a goldfish. Have you seen Ted Lasso
I
yet?
don't
Oh,
get it.
Dad, you're gonna love Ted
Oh, yeah,
Lasso.
I've been wanting to see
You should
it.
come over here and watch it. We'll watch it all again with you.
Yeah, well, I don't want
It's-
to watch all of it over here. That would be kind of crazy.
That'd be kind of crazy, but how is she going to do it?
What's it on?
Apple.
I don't.
It's hard. It's hard to come by, but you got to see it. They got to sell that on DVD or something, because a lot of people would gift that to people that aren't on that. A lot of the diehards. Oh, sorry. A lot of the diehards of Lasso would happily buy the DVDs for friends that don't have Apple, because it's just it's important. I feel like it's
I've heard a lot about it. I've wanted to see it.
it's very heart filling.
Well,
It's a lot of laughs, a lot of. Have you seen it?
I hear people talk about it all the time. I haven't seen it.
It's too bad too, because all of we might be building it up too much, like impairing your ability to really appreciate it. Be like, oh, it's not
My
that
brother
great.
always says something and I don't laugh. He's like, Ted Lasso. I was like, I haven't seen it yet. I'm like, no. He's like he looks at me like I'm a moron because I don't understand the reference he's giving me.
But one of the things he says to his players all the time is be a goldfish, which is just forget that happened.
Right.
Just forget it. He says they have a memory span of 10 seconds. Be a goldfish. Shake it off. Just forget that ever happened. John Dotson would like to know, why do birds flock and do crazy maneuvers like schools of fish just to ultimately land on a wire? I imagine fish and birds flock for the exact same reason. Whatever reason that might, I don't know what the reason is, but I suspect that it's identical.
Well, I think they flock for protection.
Mhm.
When a school of fish is traveling, of small fish is traveling through the water, your radar, if you're coming toward it, looks like one organism.
Right.
And
You just get out of
and
there.
So you think it's a bigger organism than you are. And that's what the flocks do. The flock is also a protection against inroads. Like, the odds of you getting in trouble in a flock are a lot safer than if you're flying by yourself.
Right.
They'll pick you out if you're by yourself, but if you're in a flock. But also they're intimidated by the size of the numbers. So it's the whole idea of a flock is to protect you. And it's also a means of traveling, and the fact that you can use the updraft of the birds in front of you to make your flight easier. So
right.
for
And
long
get further.
For long trips, it makes sense. It's easier to travel. It's protection. Now, when he gets into those famous pictures of the blackbirds doing
It's
all
so amazing to
that,
watch.
when you get into that, now I think you're talking about birds trying to be art forms.
Right, right.
I think they're playing around.
Trying to delight our senses.
Yeah, they're just saying, look at this.
It is miraculous. The way they all weave in and out, turn on a dime together, and I'm sure there's no leader in that. Like, it's just.
I don't think so. I think they can all lead. I think they all have the same abilities.
Right.
And it's not something they think about. It's innate.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes with the territory. But
The
there might be a survival value to being able to maneuver that way too.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it might be just them.
The wind might
fooling
make them
around.
do it. A current
Yeah,
could come through and they just shift around and
Yeah.
get back on top of it.
that's a good point. Maybe
Mhm.
they are just reacting to the external environment in some way. And then, each of them feels a little thing and they all move at the same time.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing.
Now, birds that flock like a long distance, like they're going to Texas, do they just stay, like the ones that are like in our yard would go together, or like would they meet up with Verona birds? Like, do they form like bigger flocks?
Oh yeah, flocks will get bigger.
So the farther south you go,
And then-
you might see a
yeah, and
huge
then
flock.
some will finish their journey earlier and and drop off. And
Okay.
others might join them, but you know, they know they're safer flocking together, and they.
Safety in numbers.
But it's always the same type of bird? Like you'll never see different types of birds flying together?
It's pretty much the same type of bird, but you know, one flock will be starlings, and 10 minutes later it'll be a flock of grackles.
Right.
You know,
There's one bird that's in there like.
there's always one of them.
Towards the back.
Like, hey.
Towards the back. Your turn to lead. Oh, go ahead.
I think we should go north this year. You always want to go south. You always want to go south.
Oh, fun show. Thanks, guys.
All right.
I got nothing now. Gosh,
Uh-oh.
I don't know how to follow the
Oh, boy.
leaving
You
song.
don't have any bird songs?
I feel like I've done them all, or I don't remember them all. Cloudy skies and paper wings. I need no place, I have no things for to fly from the rain. One must stay light, I can't complain. 'Cause the rain is just sometimes, the rest is all sunshine. Those are the times I don't mind if I do. Go alone or with someone else, I can fly with her or all by myself. I'm just sewing up my wings for a flight to the sun. I might be a fool to try it, but she might be a fool to and come. How would I know? How would I know? How would I know? It's been a long time on this one. Oh man, it's been so long.
Can't help it.
Got the stars for secrets, rendezvous and games. I'm tempted by the sun, I'm slowed by the rain. But time's got me thinking and laughing to find that it will not be wasted away. But how would I know? How would I know? How would I know? How would I know? Yes, if I could tell a wishing well, a wish and to come true, I would not wish for riches or love. I'd wish for my wings to be done by the spring, and then I'd fly off to the sun. That was half a leaving song.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. See you next time.
That was
Yes,
an old,
we will.
that was an old Cold Tit song.
I forgot half that song. Oh man.
All right, everybody.
Getting rusty. I'm starting to get rusty, aren't I, Percy?
We'll see you next time.